So, for my family dinner project, I'm going to be talking about my family meals growing up, all through like my childhood and all through high school. They're all pretty much the same throughout all of my childhood, so it's all pretty similar. So, my family meals involved usually my mom, my dad, my brother, and me. And then our meals, like typically my dad would do all of our grocery shopping and decide what meals we were gonna have during the week and stuff like that. Sometimes me and my brother would get to go to the store and help my dad do all the shopping, but my dad primarily like made all the plans of what we were gonna be eating throughout the week. And then my dad typically also was the one that would do the cooking. He would come home after work and make dinner when he got home. So we usually ate around like 6, 7 o'clock when he got home. However, my mom does have like a few favorite meals she likes to cook, which is usually like meals that are like made on the grill or whatever. My mom really likes to grill, so she makes a few like particular meals that she likes to cook. And then, as far as setting the table for dinner, typically my brother and me both like work together. Like, we'll get all of the silverware together and like ask everyone what they want to drink and set out all the napkins and stuff. So that way everything's all set and ready. That way, whenever my mom or my dad finishes cooking, we can all sit down to eat because we're usually starving. And so, other things like I know a lot of people like will take out trash and stuff typically around their dinner, but since our comes once a week and we have these big barrels and stuff that stay outside, we just empty our trash inside the house when it gets full, so it's not really part of like our daily routine. However, that was my chore up until I left for college and then my brother took over that chore. Some of our favorite foods, like my particular favorite meal is this thing called jambalaya. It comes from New Orleans. It's basically like a spicy rice dish with some kielbasa in it. It's a meat, and my dad usually cooks that, and it's one of my favorite meals. It doesn't take too long to cook, so my dad makes it pretty often. And then my brother's favorite meal is something we call LPC. It's lemon pepper chicken, and it's something that my mom like found a recipe for because she was trying to find more like healthy foods to like that were easy to cook to throw into our diets and stuff. So that was one of the things that she found, and my brother absolutely loves it. So we have that every now and then. Most of the foods, as I said, that my parents ended up cooking are foods that are like easy to cook and could cook very quickly, especially because typically my dad was cooking it when he got home from work. So normally normally the meals we're eating were a mix between healthy and really quick to cook. And most of them were also like things that you could get like pre-packaged. Like we got a lot of stuff from Costco and like pre-boxed like pastas and like other stuff like that where you just have to do a little bit of prep work to add on to it to make the actual meal. Um, so when we actually sit down for dinner, I sit at the head of the table, which is really weird because normally like one of your parents would sit at the head of the table. I sit at the head of the table, and then my parents sit on each side of me, and then my brother sits across from me, like next to the window in our dining room. And I guess that it might be because I usually am the one that gets up to like go get like refills for drinks for people and stuff when I get up the most because I drink like after every bite I take. So that might be why I sit there. I'm not really sure. We've just always done it that way. And then as far as serving food, I don't know if this is like normal or not because my boyfriend's family, they put all their food on their table, but my family, my mom and dad leave all the food on our counter and we kind of do it buffet style. So my mom will fill all of our plates first with like everyone's first servings of the food, and then we all sit down and we'll have like nice chit chat about how like our day went and stuff like that. And then if we want seconds and thirds, we have to get up ourselves and go to the buffet and like fill like our second like and third servings. Um so that's kind of how we sit and eat and all of that. And then holiday dinners are a little different because then we have more family members and we typically go by grandma's. We still kind of do the buffet style, but we'll bring more of like the sides and stuff into the dining room. That way, like, more people will eat the sides because there's really only like one or two dishes that like my grandma won't make a lot of because it's really hard to make. So then those she'll leave in there so that way if you really, really want it, you'll eat quickly and go back and get what you want. So that's kind of the background on our family dinners and stuff. And I'll continue on with the analysis of the themes next. So, to analyze some common themes we talked about in class, really the only things that stick out to me about my family dinners are we have some Catholic background, so we usually pray before our meals, even though my parents didn't raise me and my brother in a particular religion, but my dad was raised Catholic, so we usually pray just as a tradition. And then there were a lot of social values that my mom and dad pushed in our family dinners, such as like the importance of supporting one another and always being there for each other, and that family is the most important thing because they will always be there for you no matter what. And then ethically, I also think that my parents pushed me and my brother to always strive to do our best and like have that internal motivation to do our best. So our parents really pushed like strong like motivational values. And then also being in between the lower and middle class for most of my childhood, and then like finally like just in the middle class as I grew older, I think that was pretty much a blessing because for the most part me and my parents and my brother all got to sit and eat with each other for our meals. And I know there's a lot of like people, like friends I made in high school who were from poorer families and poorer homes who didn't necessarily get to eat their meals and sit down together and stuff. Like their parents would be out working multiple jobs and stuff like that. So it was quite a blessing and a gift getting to have my parents at home for all of our meals and have them present at those times, even if they weren't the most lavish and expensive meals or getting to go out and eat all the time like some people do. But there's definitely a huge impact that I think mostly economics can have on the family because it can change the entire structure of how your family interacts and the emotions of like your parents, and like that impacts kids and stuff. So I definitely acknowledge that I was blessed to grow up in a family where my parents could be home for dinner. So, my final thoughts for the project are like practices that I intend to keep from my family traditions are things like sitting across from each other at the table, always sitting down to eat, talking about our days and stuff. Those are things that I think are really important for the structure of a family and forming those like special bonds between each other. Um, However, something I really enjoy about what my boyfriend's family does is that they put all the food on the table, and one thing that he says about that is like it forces them to talk if they're not talking, and I really like that because even though my family talks a lot, his family probably wouldn't talk a lot if they didn't do that. So I think that's another way just to push each other into talking a little more, opposed to like how my family does it with the buffet style. Um, so that's one thing I would probably change about my family dinners. And then I also really think that my personal background shapes a lot of how I feel about like family and how I plan for my future family to be. Seeing how my family interacts with each other now shows me what I do and don't like, and what I do and don't want to do in the future. Excuse me. And it really shows me like things that I think are positive in a family and things that I think can be done a better way, especially seeing how other people do things. You can pick up things that you like better and improve on it. So ultimately, the things that you choose to keep should reflect your values and your belief. And I think that most of the things I do reflect my values and beliefs, which should lead me to having a happy and supportive family in the future. And I think above all else that your family bonds and your relationships should matter the most in supporting each other really no matter what. So I think like the family is a really important institution, not even just in the United States as like a structural institution, but also as a social institution, because family is always supposed to be there for you no matter what. And obviously, not everyone has that, but that's something that everyone should strive for, because being able to count on someone 100% really can impact like mental health, and that also impacts your physical health. And it's kind of a trickle down effect. So, overall, I think family is such an important institution, and that we should always strive to better it and improve ourselves for the betterment of society. So that's my video. Thank you.